Secretary Mayorkas, I want you to look at these innocent Americans. Do you see them?
I do, Congresswoman.
They are dead. They're from Dalton, Georgia, in my district. They're dead because a 17-year-old, likely affiliated with the cartels, was smuggling illegal aliens into our country in Texas, breaking our laws, and this happens every single day in our country. Earlier this week, 8 Republicans joined the Democrats and protected your job. But I want you to know, you have a short time coming. You can honorably resign, or we are going to impeach you, and it's happening very, very soon. Mr. Ray, do you remember on October 18th when the Capitol complex was illegally occupied, breaking same laws that you have hunted down Americans for from January 6th? Are you familiar with this?
I don't recognize the picture that you're holding.
Well, because maybe your agents haven't been doing a good job into investigating the organizers that broke the law, illegally occupied this very building that we're sitting in right now, and over 300 of them were arrested. Some of them attacked police officers. I haven't seen on the news where the FBI is hunting them down with helicopters, tanks in the streets, raiding their homes with flashbangs, targeting these people, watching these people, throwing them in jail for them to stay in pre-trial in solitary confinement for years before they ever face trial. You want to know what this says? I'll tell you. This is one of the organizers' phones, and this is a chat, and it says at the top, Global Intifada. Now, while we're talking about terrorism today, are you familiar with the term Intifada?
I've certainly heard the term.
Do you know the definition?
I'm not going to try to define it, but
It means Arab uprising or jihad. Are you concerned about jihad in this country?
I am, and I have consistently testified to that effect.
Yes, but are you interested in using the FBI? You are the director of the FBI. Do you hunt down terrorists in our country? Those that would be responsible for jihad?
Absolutely, and that's why we've had jihadist-inspired terrorism at our highest national threat priority level since the day that I started as FBI director.
Do you still use the Southern Poverty Law Center as a source? You use them. The FBI used the Southern Poverty Law Center as a source when targeting Catholics. Are you still using the Southern Poverty Law Center as a source?
Congresswoman, what I think you're referring to is the so-called Richmond intelligence product, which as soon as I learned about it, I was horrified, withdrew it. We had an inspection done, and part of the problem that we found with that particular product, that particular office, is precisely what you're talking about, the reliance on the Southern Poverty Law Center and the way in which they relied on it.
Well, you relied on the Southern Poverty Law Center, but I would have you know, Mr. Ray, that this one right here, this person involved in the Global Intifada group, that illegally, they broke the law, came in and occupied the Cannon Office House building, interrupted Congress, interrupted hearings. Right here, Katrina Bleakley is the lead attorney for the Southern Poverty Law Center. Were you aware of this?
Congresswoman, as I said, I haven't seen the photos that you're holding up before.
Maybe, well, I posted them on my Twitter account. It's public. You know, maybe
I don't
you guys
spend a lot of time on Twitter.
Well, you know, oh, I'm sure you do, because the Department of Homeland Security, organized with other offices, has censored many Americans, including myself.
I'm not part of the Department of Homeland Security.
Right, Mr. Ray, you should be interested in investigating terrorism, and this right here is proof that we had terrorists in our own office building. Global Intifada. And you rely on the Southern Poverty Law Centers. Katrina Bleakley is one of the organizers. I'll send this over to your office, so maybe perhaps you can stop targeting innocent grandmothers and veterans who walked through the Capitol on January 6th and might actually go after people tied to Hamas, tied to Hezbollah, and likely Iran. Mr. Ray, are you interested in members of Congress that are organized and participating in a Facebook group that has ties to Hamas?
We're not investigating people for participating in a Facebook group.
A Facebook group that is tied to Hamas?
We have multiple investigations into individuals affiliated with Hamas, and they're active investigations.
You're going to tell me as FBI director you will not investigate Americans or United States members of Congress that are linked to known terrorists?
That's not what I said.
Are you going to investigate or not?
We are going to investigate individuals who are affiliated with Hamas if they meet our standards for predication, which are longstanding standards set by this department and the prior department and the department before that.
I would hope to God that intifada and jihad and terrorists in our very country would be something that you would prioritize instead of a 3-hour event that happened at the Capitol nearly 4 years ago, Mr. Ray. I yield back my time, Mr. Chairman.
Director Abizaid, thank you for your service. I'm not going to have questions for you today. Mr. Chairman, we started this hearing by listening to Secretary Mayorkas talk about climate change as a threat to our country and obscure policies that need reauthorization, but not yet one mention of the southwest border and the 169 plus known or suspected terrorists that have entered this country. So I think it just shows you where the mindset is, and the American people know that. Director Ray, you said in front of the Senate committee last week, and you said again today, the reality is that terrorism threat has been elevated throughout 2023, but the ongoing war in the Middle East has raised the threat of an attack against Americans in the United States to a whole other level. Do you stand by that statement?
Absolutely.
If somebody is listed as a special interest alien or a KST, by the way, this is Trump-era KSTs, and this is Mayorkas-Biden-era KSTs. If somebody's listed as a KST, is that a concerning person, somebody who could do harm to the United States?
Well, to be on the watch list as a KST means that they've met the standard to be of concern.
So they're concerning to the FBI. You're looking for these people.
Yes.
Are there people that are listed in these numbers? I think the number was 169. They may have amended that from CBP DHS, but are there people that you are still searching for that we don't know where they are in the United States? Of the known apprehensions, KSTs, known or suspected terror people, match list to the terror watch list.
Well,
are you still searching for people in the United States that we know match the terror watch list?
I'm not sure I can answer that here because it's a constantly moving target. Yes.
Are there people that match the terror watch list that were apprehended by CBP that the FBI and other agencies are searching for in the United States?
There are certainly individuals who are the subject of terrorism investigations that we are searching for. Whether or not they're people, to me, I guess the distinction I'm drawing is, well, there's obviously a lot of focus on the watch list itself. One of the things that, and I've tried to be clear in my testimony here this morning, one of the areas that we are of concern is individuals who, once here, information later comes in.
Are there people that you don't? Are there people you don't know where they are that the FBI is searching for today?
Yes.
Yes or no? Yes. Secretary Mayorkas, is there a policy at DHS that requires CBP or any other agency involved with the vetting of individuals who match the terror watch list that requires these individuals to be detained? Does DHS have a policy of detainment for anybody who matches the terror watch list?
Congressman, on September 30th of 2021, I promulgated a policy that articulated quite clearly and quite expressly that individuals who pose a threat to the public safety...
Is there a policy at DHS and CBP that requires detainment of people who match the terror watch list? It's very simple.
That individuals who pose a threat to public safety or national security are a priority for enforcement, and if in fact...
Is every person that you have listed on the terror watch list detained right now?
And if in fact they pose such a threat, they are to be detained.
Okay, so why did you release people in the United States that match the terror watch list?
Congressman, we do not release individuals...
So you have detained every single person who matched the terror watch list that you apprehended at the southern border? 100%.
If you would allow me to answer the question.
Please answer it quickly. I don't need a filibuster.
If we believe that the detention of an individual is necessary to safeguard the safety of the American people, we continue to detain.
Secretary, I'm going to reclaim my time. If you and any other agency labels somebody as a match to the terror watch list, do you immediately detain them?
Congressman, if you are referring to the terrorist screening data set, the TSDS, we make a determination in the execution of our law enforcement responsibilities to detain an individual if that detention
I believe that based on your testimony, and based on Director Ray's, that there are people that you're still searching for that you should have detained, and I want to find out more information on it. Furthermore, in 2023, your agency, Secretary Mayorkas, reported that there were over 24,000 Chinese nationals who have entered the United States illegally. That's a 1,000% increase from 2022. Are there people that you are searching for, Director Ray, Secretary Mayorkas, that have entered this country? And is there intelligence to suggest that the CCP is trying to use or directing the flow of CCP or Chinese nationals into the United States?
Well, certainly there are individuals who are affiliated with the Chinese government who are the subject of investigations that we have here, and some of those are people that we're searching for. Now, how they came in, whether they came in illegally or not, is a different question. I'm not sure I can speak to that here in the aggregate, but what I can tell you is that I've been very consistent in saying that there is no country that presents a broader, more comprehensive threat to our economic security, our national security, our innovation than the Chinese government. And they use non-traditional collectors, not just traditional intelligence operatives, to cause that threat.
Secretary Mayorkas, based on Director Ray's testimony, that he believes that this threat is at a whole other level, and you are not detaining people immediately, I am very concerned about the security of this nation and the fact that you have been derelict in your duty in securing.
Gentleman's time has expired. The gentleman from Arizona, Mr. Crane, for his 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to start with Director Ray. Have the border security policy changes made under this administration, sir, made it more difficult for the FBI to keep Americans safe?
Well, I don't know that I could cite it to specific policies. What I would say is that certainly the threats that we are contending with that emanate from the other side of the border, whether it's fentanyl trafficking, whether it's the increase in the number of KSTs that we've seen over the last 5 years, all those are things that make the work that the FBI has on our side of the border to try to get ahead of those threats more challenging.
So you don't acknowledge that the increase in traffic that we're seeing, the increase in individuals on the terror watch list have anything to do with some of the policy changes of this administration?
Well, I didn't say that. I think what I was saying is when it comes to border security and questions of how that's supposed to be done, I defer to DHS on that. What I would say is the threats that we're contending with, which come from the other side of the border, are certainly extremely challenging over the last several years.
Thank you, sir. In your professional opinion, what's causing the increase of encounters of individuals on the terror watch list and the traffic at our southern border?
You know, I'm not sure that I have a professional opinion about immigration. We try to stay in our lane and focus on the issues that we're contending with.
Well, I know you do, actually, sir, I know you're a really smart guy. I know you do have an opinion. If you're not willing to share it in this setting, that's okay. But I know you've studied criminology, you've studied deterrence. I mean, you are the head of the FBI. We all recognize that. But I understand, sir, you're in a tough situation here today. On that note, though, Director Ray, is it fair to say that the now President of the United States, while he was campaigning to become president back in June 27, 2019, said this in multiple statements like it on the campaign trail? He said, "And those who come seeking asylum, we should immediately have the capacity to absorb them, keep them safe until they can be heard." On September 12th, sir, 2019, we're a nation who says if you want to flee and you're fleeing oppression, you should come. Did you hear any of those comments by then candidate Joe Biden?
I'm not sure I can quote people's campaign statements.
Do you think that has anything to do with the dangerous situation that we now see at our border and now within the United States of America?
Again, I'm not sure that I'm really the one who can speak to immigration dynamics.
I think you could speak to it, sir. I just don't think you want to. Sir, about how many American citizens have been arrested for entering the Capitol on January 6th? If you can just give me an estimate, that'd be great.
Well, I don't know how many were tied to that specific piece of it. I know that we've had upwards of 700 cases brought related to January 6th in one way or another.
Yeah. It's definitely been hundreds, okay? Sir, I'm interested. Has the pipe bomber who planted bombs at the DNC and the RNC on January 6th, has he been arrested yet?
That is something we're still aggressively investigating.
Okay. So you were able to arrest hundreds of individuals who were allowed into the Capitol, walked around, took selfies, but we can't find the individual who committed the most dangerous crime and attempted to cause multiple mass casualty events at the Capitol, or around the Capitol.
Congressman, we have an entire dedicated team focused specifically on this investigation. We've done thousands of interviews, visited, again, just in the pipe bomb investigation,
Okay.
thousands of interviews, visited thousands of residents and businesses, reviewed millions of pieces of data. There's something like 39,000 video files. We've assessed like 500 or something tips. We've done extensive public publicity. We've increased the reward money. We've got our lab working on it. We've got our WMD directorate working on it. We've got our Office of Technology division, our cellular analysis team. So the folks that we have working on this investigation are working very aggressively on it. And I, as much as anybody, would like to see it solved. But it is certainly not for lack of effort and lack of priority, I can assure you.
Thank you, sir. Sir, do you find it interesting how many whistleblowers there are right now from your organization coming forward and testifying to Congress about the conduct of the FBI and how they no longer even want to work for the FBI? They're willing to risk everything, including their livelihood, to come and talk to Congress about what they perceive to be a change in the culture at the FBI.
Certainly, I respect the role of whistleblowers in our system. It's an important part of the way our system of government works. When it comes to the culture of the FBI, I'm very proud of our 38,000 people. I think you will be relieved to know that the number of people applying to be special agents from the state of Arizona has gone up over 135% over the last 5 years. And the view that you've just described, I don't think matches what I hear from the 55-plus chiefs and sheriffs and other agency heads in the state of Arizona who've dedicated something like 200-plus of their task force officers to serve on our task forces. We've got about as many task force officers on our
Real quick,
task
sir,
forces
do you find their testimonies to be reliable, or do you think that when you hear what they're saying to Congress, do you think they're pushing false narratives?
I'm not going to be weighing in on the accuracy of individual people who have made allegations against us. We take them all seriously. There have been plenty of inaccuracies lodged by any number of people about the FBI. We're going to stay focused on our work and the people we do the work with and the people we do the work for.
Thank you, sir.